This is Health, Wealth, Wisdom, Parents Edition. Welcome to our summit where we bring you exciting, renowned experts from all around the globe. Your host is a clinical neuroscientist, an inspirational speaker, and an international coach. Please welcome Dr. Ali Lankarani, affectionately known as Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer.
Hello, our amazing audience members. Welcome to Health, Wealth, and Wisdom, the Parents Edition 4.0. We are on our day 2. We have had an amazing journey with our speakers as well as you audience members. And I am loving this. So our next speaker is Miss Rowena Winkler, Dr. Rowena Winkler. And I loved her story, so I really wanted her to share her message with you guys, and that's why she's here. Dr. Rowena is a cosmic catalyst coach and realignment strategist. She helps women ignite their sacred intuition so they can activate their soul purpose. So I know that for many women, their whole life they spend giving, and serving, and sometimes they forget about number one, the one that has been with them all along. So there's a lot more to Dr. Rowena, so I'll let her go ahead and get started and tell us all about herself, her passion, how she showed up over here. Her talk actually titled today is How My IVF Journey Led Me to My Soul Purpose. So this is something that you don't hear often, oftentimes in society. These kind of things are not talked about, and I thought that this was important to be shared as well. So welcome to our summit, Dr. Rowena. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to do what you do.
Sure. First of all, Dr. L, thank you so much for having me be a speaker at this event. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share my story. So I am an immigrant child. My parents came to the United States from the Philippines to build a good life for my older sister and I. And from the jump, from the get-go, I am what you may call a high achiever, right? So I was a strong performer, especially academically. As you can see, I have a PhD. I got my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in less than 10 years. So I love to, put the pedal to the metal, right? So as a result, I feel like for a very long time, for much of my life, I pretty much got everything that I wanted. By working hard, by setting my sights on goals, I would do whatever it took to achieve them. And, as a result of that and striving academically, I did probably put my personal life, my relationships on the bit of a back burner for a little bit, but fast forward to 2016, I married my best friend, Derek. It's our 5-year anniversary coming up at the end of this month. And after about a year of marriage, we decided to start trying to get pregnant. You may feel it. I have a very maternal energy. I love connecting with people. I love helping others. As you mentioned, as women, we do love to pour ourselves into others. And so I've always had this vision of being a mom. I was one of those girls who had my little dolls, right? And would play family and have my little baby. But we've soon realized that we were trying and nothing was working. And of course, again, I was doing everything that I was quote unquote supposed to do. I downloaded the apps, I was tracking, I had the ovulation sticks. I read on everything to, trying different eating foods and what have you, just doing all the things, because for so long as this high achiever, I just, had the checklist, checked off the boxes. But in this instance, this was not transpiring the way that it has for me in the past. And in addition to that, when we were trying to get pregnant, I also went off my birth control. I was on birth control for 10 plus years at this point. And as a result, all the hormones, my body essentially went berserk. And so it was even more difficult to track at what point was the good time to try to conceive. And it was very, very challenging. Again, as someone who now considers herself a recovering perfectionist, I was throwing my hands up, like getting so frustrated, like, why isn't this working? Why am I not achieving something that I've wanted for so, so long? And, you know, as a result, it would be these peaks and valleys, these high points and low points. You know, I would not drink alcohol for a month. And then as soon as I would take a pregnancy test and it was negative, I would drink probably a little more than I should, because I was just trying to distract and numb myself from this disappointment, this frustration, this pain that I felt that I was not getting pregnant and not becoming a mother. And after, you know, a year and a half or so, or a year plus of trying, we decided to go to Shady Grove Fertility. I live in Maryland, and they have a fantastic practice, a great facility. And we sat in this 2-hour intake appointment with our doctor, after which I got a series of tests. One of them was getting 7 vials of blood drawn. I remember sitting in that chair, watching the tech just keep one after the other, just tossing them onto a table and being like, oh my goodness, like I felt, again, I was just giving so much of myself, figuratively, literally, emotionally, mentally, to this process. And then went through what is called the HSG, which is where they push dye through your fallopian tubes and whatnot to see if there's something getting stuck in there. A colleague of mine, actually, after that process, was able to get pregnant, but that's still, everything seemed to be okay. And then finally, we had our appointment with the doctor, and it was determined that I have what is called DOR, diminished ovarian reserve. And, you know, this may not mean anything to you, right? What is this term? But essentially, I don't produce as many eggs as I should at my age. And to put this into context, to put this into perspective, I just want to share some stats. So our doctor told us that with this condition, or now that we discovered that I had DOR, on our own, you know, the year plus of my husband and I trying to get pregnant, trying to conceive by natural means, we had a 3 to 5% chance. 3 to 5%, not a good chance. If we went into IUI, it was a 5 to 10% chance. And then with IVF, that jumps to 30 to 40%. And so we decided to just skip IUI and go right into IVF, since that was our best chance that we had. And for those of you that are not familiar with the in vitro fertilization process, it is a lot. I self-administered 32 shots. So twice, sometimes 3 times a day, I would get my abdomen out and just, you know, get the injection ready and just plug into different areas. There was extreme bruising as a result of so many shots. And then once things were good and ready, there is what is called an HCG triggering shot. And that's like above my back, or like above the buttock area, right? And the nurse drew a little Sharpie, Mark, I remember this. And at 1 a.m., when I was barely awake, my awesome, beautiful, amazing husband like got me with this triggering shot. And I remember this wave of emotion coming over me. And I just cried and cried and cried in bed, like half awake, half reflecting, thinking, is this going to work? I then had an egg extraction, which, you know, some women get a lot, some women not so much. I was able to get 6, but then that went to 4 in terms of trying to get them to, you know, produce an embryo, which then got us down to 2. So we had 2 viable embryos, which then we did an embryo transfer, and thankfully I was able to get pregnant. My body did take, after all the medicines and the hormones and drugs, through that embryo transfer, which I'll never forget because we actually have a video of it. Like, I feel like my husband and I are the only ones that can see it, where it's just like the poop, like you see the little embryo, just like, there it is. And we have a picture of it, which, if you conceive naturally, you don't get to see like the fertile, like this process
Right.
of it taking. And it was this like wild moment. And so that transfer resulted into my pregnancy, which resulted to my beautiful 16-month-old daughter, Kerrigan Lee. And yay.
What a
And
way to bring your family into this world, right?
yeah. And now and Carrie has a sibling that's still frozen for when the time comes for baby number 2. And so I just wanted to give, that was a quick and dirty rundown of that entire process. As you can see, a lot went into it, a lot of, not just medically, but just needed to be
so much into it. I had a very good friend of mine that had to go through that process.
Yeah.
And it's emotionally draining.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about it. That's the hard part. So it's very difficult to find that support that you so crave. You feel like you're the only person in the world going through this. So it's very rough. So yes, I totally get that. All right. So yes, so here we are. You have a family. Congratulations there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us more. Where are we going from here?
From here, I would say my pregnancy process was one of the most spiritually grounding of my entire life. I felt so, especially as I mentioned, the road it took to get there, I did not take it for granted for 1 second. And now I think I was a bit naive even then, because I've since heard stories of women who it did not take, right? They would do the embryo transfer and it would not take. So the fact that it did take in my instance, and I was able to get pregnant and have the healthy, happy, beautiful baby as a result, I do not take that for granted one bit. And so when I was pregnant, I got so in tune with my body, with my spirit. I was meditating. I felt so connected. It was truly unbelievable. And I was, in addition, continuing with my acupuncture, and I was still doing yoga, right? I was doing prenatal yoga, and it was just so beautiful to be in this alignment. And also, as a result of that, and as a result of now becoming a mother, I really, truly have tapped into this inner child work, right? So what that means for me is being able to look back on my experiences as a child and think about the experiences that may have been triggering or challenging or frustrating, and taking the time to reframe those experiences as moments of perseverance and resiliency. Because in my own work with my therapist, with my own coach, with my own meditation practice and journaling, right? I've come to the realization that a lot of my challenges come from this core limiting belief that I'm not enough. Even when I was going through this IVF process, it was like, oh my gosh, my body can't even produce or, create this baby that I have wanted for so long. What's wrong with me? Why am I not enough? Why am I not worthy to be this mother? And looking back on my experiences, I started off by saying that I was an immigrant child, and with that came a lot of pressure to perform and to be perfect. And that all stemmed from me covering up the fact that I didn't feel good enough, that I was trying to come off with this facade that I got it all together and that I'm got this. But really deep down inside, I was terrified. I was so frightened that people would find me out, or that they'd be like, oh, she's not who she thinks she is or says she is. And that I needed to be a certain way, act a certain way, speak a certain way to be accepted and to get anything right. And that being weak, quote unquote, was unacceptable. And that being myself as is, no bells and whistles, no attachments or anything to it, was not enough. And then as you can see, as I'm getting energetic and hype, and I know Dr. L, you know, I got a lot of this energy for so long that I was too much, right? That I was, you're so energetic, you know, you got too much going on, you got too much of a vibe.
Isn't it amazing, this voice that's always there, criticizing,
Yes.
putting doubt and everything else in there?
Yeah. This voice who I call the inner saboteur. I named her. Her name is Noella. She's not very nice. That tries to get in there and tell us these lies and these stories and these narratives that oftentimes come from, you know, this from childhood, right? When we don't have a sense or an awareness of what's really going on, because oftentimes it's others projecting onto you, right? And that when you come forward in your authentic, aligned, glorious, brilliant, luminous self, it's others reacting to that and being like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. So that's, you know, again, I've had to reframe like, no. I've been enough this whole time. I've had what I've needed this entire time. I've had the tools, the gifts and talents. And I needed to have this journey to go through IVF because it led to my realization of how resilient and how I needed to share this story. One of my best friends told me that my vulnerability is my superpower. And I will never forget that because I have found that coming onto stages such as this, Dr. L, and sharing my story and sharing the trials, the tribulations, the triumphs, all of it, my hero's journey, my heroine's journey, my goddess journey has been instrumental to connecting with others, and it resonates and it vibes with them. And it's the full picture, right? You see the Instagram filter part.
I always talk about how parents are truly the first superheroes that the children get to see. When I talk about the superheroes, because from the eye of a child, parents are truly amazing. They have this amazing power. They have this amazing knowledge of how the world works. They can drive and make food for you and all these other amazing things at the same time and have answers for you. They have superpowers. But then what people don't realize is also, just like all the other superheroes, parents have doubts and the odds are stacked against them and they have to overcome these things. So that part is also true as well. And like you said, that vulnerability and letting people see that vulnerability, letting your kids see that vulnerability is important for them to know that nobody has all the answers, but in every challenge, there are opportunities, and opportunities never present themselves the way you think they do, right? So back to your story. So yes, with this attunement to your body and how you were, where did you go next?
Well, as I mentioned, I had my daughter in May 2020, literally what, 10 days before the world shut down due to COVID.
Mm.
It was wild, you know. I had my daughter and then the world shut down. I call COVID this collective retreat where we all were chilling and forced to sit with ourselves and reflect on what we're doing here and what's important, and not taking our health, our wealth and wisdom for granted. And so it was this beautiful time where my daughter, my husband and I were in our little bubble, just learning, just trying to figure out what this parenting thing is about. And I will say, being a pandemic parent, a new parent in a pandemic has had its own share of challenges and humbling experiences, right? Because as you can probably gather, I am an extrovert. So I love being with people. And my husband and I have this beautiful circle, like extended group of friends / we call them, they're our chosen family essentially.
Right.
And it was really difficult for us to not be able to see them or to be with them, because we saw ourselves as those parents who were going to, bring the baby everywhere and get to see people. And when that shifted, it was difficult. I'm going to be completely honest. It was hard to be a new mommy, to figure this out, and to also remember all of that spiritual grounding that I had done when I was pregnant. And so after the initial month or so of not sleeping and trying to, keep this little human alive, I dove back in. I went back into this practice. And that was when I kicked off my entrepreneurial journey. I realized that, as you mentioned, I want to be this superhero role model for my daughter. And that includes following my intuition and what I want to leave to this planet, to this plane, to this earth. And what initially started as just an astrology business has since morphed into a broader coaching offering, where, as you mentioned, when you introduced me, I help women tap into that fire, that light, that inner muse, as I call it, that is she's just waiting to come on out there. And I use the same modalities that I practiced and has helped me, whether that is looking at my astrological chart, engaging in meditation. I'm a theater performer, so I work with creatives as well. So whether that's singing, dancing, movement, acting, writing, right? So all of these gifts and talents that we have, how can we tap into it as goddesses, as women, as beautiful, divine, feminine beings, and just pour out? Because again, who knew that COVID was going to happen, right? I sure did it. So why not take the opportunity right now to walk the path that is providing, that's opening itself up for us? Why not?
So Dr. Rowena, I remember during one of our earlier talks, you once mentioned that you characterize yourself as an empath. So I wanted to ask you, in helping the women, what are some of the feelings and some of the things that you see going through them when they come to you? What are some of the challenges that they're facing? And then we move forward from there.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I was talking to a client just earlier this week, and I couldn't help but smile because she said literally the same limiting belief that I just mentioned, that I'm not enough, right? That a lot of these women come to me feeling that they have to perform, they have to hit some sort of magical milestone, that they have to know everything, that they have to be everything, especially as mothers, right? We pour ourselves into our mothering, that so much so that we oftentimes lose ourselves in that. And so I've helped mothers gain a sense of who they are, because they are still, we're still moms, right? We still are providing the love and care and support for our children. But I know for me, I would like to role model for my daughter that I am coming forward each and every single day as this beautiful, authentic being, right? That I don't want to lose myself in that. And I actually mentioned this in the context of COVID-19. I said this to my husband, I don't want to lose the lessons of that either, right? I feel like a lot of us in this collective retreat of COVID figured out what that could be. What can we unlock? And so when these women come to me, they're feeling stuck in some way, whether it's, oh, I don't know if this is the career path for me. I don't know if this is the type of parenting style I need to be. I don't know if I am fully embracing my creative aptitude or creative endeavors in the way that something just doesn't feel right. Like, I'm sure you understand, right? Like you go about your day saying, something's not sitting right. Something's not feeling right. And for me, of course, every day is not the most magical day ever, but I am going to try. I'm going to start each morning
So
And
what are
yeah,
your tips and suggestions for overcoming that negative inner voice and the dialogue? What are your tips on the whole doubt situation of I'm not enough or I can't do it by myself, those limiting beliefs? What are some tips that you have for our audience members?
sure. I am a huge fan of daily affirmations. And so every single morning, I have an affirmation that I speak into existence that gets me ready for the day, that gets me in the right mindset. And as I mentioned, I'm a theater performer. So oftentimes those affirmations become singformations, so that it's even just a higher vibration, right? So speaking what I envision myself to be, who I plan myself to be for the day and then taking similarly, taking those stories, those narratives that inner voice, that saboteur, that ego, whoever you want to call it, and reframing it, right? If I hear my inner saboteur telling me that I messed something up or that I'm not good enough, it's being kind and saying, I hear you, and you know, I'm okay. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I am perfectly imperfect the way that I am. And I'm going to move forward because, as I mentioned, moving forward despite the challenges, despite the mistakes, is what connects me to other people. And that I can continue living this high vibe because no one's gonna pull me down from here, right? So just taking the moment and not going from here to here, right? Trust me, I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm a Northeasterner. I have that hustle, like that vibe in me. So I have been like here to here to here to here. No. We need to take the moment to really reflect and be still, because these thoughts, like, they come at us and we have to like observe and determine where that's coming from. Is something being triggered in us? As I mentioned, that inner child piece. Is something tugging on that core limiting belief? What's that about? Where am I feeling this physically in my body? Can I sit for just a minute and breathe into that physically? Can I journal about it? Can I reflect on it, meditate on it, and then just let it go? Because that's all
All
it
right.
is, these thoughts, right?
So here's the thing. You said theater. I heard singing. There's chat box exploding. So we might have to hear a little bit of singing going on just to hear your affirmation and enlighten our spirits as well in the process, if you don't mind doing
Oh,
that. You
I
put it
would
on the
be
spot.
okay. Well, I hope there's no copyright infringement. Disclaimer: this, the song or song, the song that I select is, just used for educational purposes, right? um, my coach we've agreed that this particular song is my song for 2021. I don't know if there are any Greatest Showman fans out there.
Yep.
Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching to the beat of my drum. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'll march into the beat of my drum. Just let me mess that up. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Whoa, et cetera, et cetera. Clearly, I didn't memorize the words, but that's the vibe. This is me. This is me.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. And that was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was off the cuff, as you can tell. Definitely not prepared, but I'm here for it.
I like putting you guys on the spot. It's fun.
I love it. Puts my improv theater skills to work, Dr. L. It's
There
good.
you go. There you go. All right. And so tell us a little bit more. We were talking about tips and secrets and everything. And you are an overachiever in those short months since You know, you became a parent, and COVID and everything else. You have also managed to create this entrepreneurial venture and have done so much. So tell us a little bit more also about what you do and the details of that, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I call myself a cosmic catalyst coach and realignment strategist. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying what I mentioned, right? That I work with women who are intrigued by spiritual modalities, who are interested in tapping in within themselves and looking at things like astrology, human design, these these tools that I've personally used to help me tap into my soul purpose.
Mhm.
And I work with them, and using my previous experience as a professor when I was in academia, I produced a model called the Inner Muse Method, MUSE. The M is for model. So, who are the folks, the people around you? They could be famous people or just everyday people who you look up to that you want to emulate, right?
Mhm.
So, going for those case examples,
Okay.
I mentioned a morning routine. I literally Googled Brene Brown's morning routine, right? Because I adore her. I actually shared the Daring Greatly quote that her book is based off of from Teddy Roosevelt earlier today. So, finding those models. Understand is the mindset piece that we've been talking about, right? So, how can we tap into those limiting beliefs, what's going on there, doing the unpacking, the introspection, going into our astrological chart. In my case, that's one of the areas that I look into. The
Mhm.
structure is building in the daily practice, because as human beings, it takes what, 21 days to build a habit. So we need to incorporate the synchromations, affirmations throughout the day, those moments of stillness, the meditation, the breath work. I also incorporate a gratitude practice at the end of the day. So looking back at how the day went and expressing gratitude for what has transpired. And then the E is the expansion piece, right? So that is anywhere from finding your tribe to engaging in this, higher level expansion, quantum leap. We're not going to get too into it, but I'm sure other speakers may have spoken to this. But
So Kelly's asking, what is the S for?
the S is for structure.
Structure. Got
Model, understand, structure, and expand. So it's the muse. And yeah, so I take that model, I use it as a framework to coach my clients, and we sit down and go through these things. And as I mentioned, the realignment strategist, that piece is, it's tangible, because sometimes we take these things and dub it as the woo or what have you, and it doesn't seem practical or attainable. Well, I am, I'm very practical in terms of application. I do have a Capricorn rising in my astrology chart, so that we need something grounding. As I mentioned, when I was pregnant, it was super grounding because I was able to take what I was learning in this experience and transmute it into something super powerful, whether that is blog post or this meditation. That's the freebie I'm offering to y'all. It all comes down to how can we translate this into inspired action to get us to that higher self that we all want to achieve.
Right. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Awesome. So, as I was mentioning, that you have your stuff together. So tell us a little bit, first of all, about what you have for the audience members today. And we'll put the link in the chat box as well.
Sure. So I created an inner child meditation. As I mentioned, tapping into that work, especially for friends who have been feeling called to do this. We did have a new moon in Cancer on Friday over the weekend. So that Cancerian energy is it's very maternal, nurturing. A lot of inner child work has been coming up for me personally. And so I wanted to share this offering for folks who may be feeling the same. It's It's less than 11 minutes, so not that much time. And it goes into this guided meditation, this visualization exercise where you come face to face with your child self and work through some of those blocks that I had mentioned, those limiting beliefs. So that's my offering for you for being here today.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and put that, the inner child meditation, with the link for you guys. And you are more than generous. You actually went ahead one step further and decided to give our VIP audience members also an extra bonus too. So tell us about that.
Yes. So if you sign up for the VIP package, I am offering an astrological chart for parents or for anyone for that matter. So if don't feel left out if you're not a parent, but in alignment with this summit, I can, it's fully personalized. So if there is another area you're looking into, relationships, career, what have you, I would just take your birth information. So your day of birth, your time, and the location of birth, and I will create this fully personalized astrology report for you so that you can learn through the planetary makeup of when you were born, because that's essentially what it is. This chart is a snapshot of the heavens when you came upon this earth, to give you some tips, advice, insight on where you are, what may be some assets, what may be some limitations that may be coming up. It's a way to discern and have more information to then help you move forward, as I've talked about today.
I love it, because in order for you to set course for any journey, any destination, you first need to know where you are, or in this case, where you started from.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect place to start. So definitely take advantage of Dr. Rowina's generous offer. Upgrade to VIP. You'll get the replays of all the speakers, as well as the extra bonuses and the thousands of dollars in courses and evaluations and consults and extra bonuses that we have there for you as well. So Dr. Rowina, I love and admire your inspiration. I love and admire your vulnerability and your generosity and how you show up in the world. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be here. I actually grew up around Shady Grove, so I know exactly where you were going through all of that. So yeah, next time I'm in Maryland, maybe we should have coffee or something. Definitely. Thank you, our audience members, for being here. Now, this is really, really coming down to one of my most favorite parts of this entire summit. We've had amazing speakers. We're going to have more amazing speakers, but based on availability and time, I asked our speakers, some of them, to show up to our panel discussion that's coming up right after this on top of the hour. I actually asked Dr. Rowina too, but I don't think you were able to make it during that time, so unfortunately. But I would love to have as many speakers there. I would love to have as many participants there. This is interactive. We want to address your questions, concerns, have this chance to interact and create this change in the world and share our messages. And this is one of the most dynamic parts of the summit. So I look forward to seeing you all guys during the panel discussion, and be ready to have fun, basically. That's what it comes down to. Dr. Rowina, thank you again. Any final words before we part?
Well, I love this message of just have fun, right? Because despite what challenges or what things may come your way, based off of my own story, my own struggles, issues with fertility and trying to get pregnant, just having a good attitude about things. And I know in the moment it can seem really tough, but it's a testament to how amazing and powerful and just how you can take that darkness and turn it into light, because this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, right? So just take these experiences and know that you're not alone. There are people that are here with you, that support you, that want to learn from your journey, because it is through these these journeys, these stories, that we become more connected and integrated with our soulful, beautiful selves. So I thank you all for being here to listen and receive my story. And I look forward to seeing all of you journey in yours. And I thank you, Dr. L. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. See you guys really soon. Be ready for an interactive and engaging multiple point of view discussion coming right up. Cheers.
Bye.
That was an amazing speaker. We're here with Dr. L from RoleModelMaker.com. He's on a mission to support, inspire, and empower as many people as possible to step into their thrive and leave a legacy. Join us back at the top of the hour.